Today we're going to talk about photography. Photography means, in Greek, photos means light and graphics means writing. So photography is writing with the light. In ancient times, there were these sort of machines called cameras obscuras that were used to form images through a pinhole. So you can see this is the image of a landscape. Through the pinhole, the image is inverted, and the painter, drawer, used to draw the image in order to obtain perspective images. Well, with the invention of lenses, these sort of machines were sharper and were more precise. Here, for example, we can see in the film Girl with the Pearl Earring how Vermeer, which is an artist, a Flemish artist, showed his servant how to use the camera obscura, which is this one, obviously. But we have to go to the 1826 to see our first photography. Nicephore Niepce was a pensioned military. He was retired, and he combined this camera obscura with a bitumen solution, and there we are. We've got the first picture. It was taken from the roofs of Paris. This camera obscura was placed for about 8 hours. So there was the exposure of 8 hours. Then there came also in Paris, Daguerre, who sort of worked in a sort of partnership. But he invented a process called daguerreotype, which used silver salts. So what happened with this daguerreotypes? The process was much shorter, and images were much clearer, as you can see here, with a higher definition. Daguerre was also considered for the French government as the inventor of photography, which it wasn't really true, because the inventor was Niepce. He invented a process called daguerreotype. Well, this is a very interesting picture. It was taken by Daguerre from the roofs of Paris. It portrays Boulevard of Capuchins. And, well, my question is, this was a usually very crowded street. Instead, we see just two people. Why? Why don't we see other people? And why do you think can we see these people? What are they doing? That's my question. In England, there was another scientist called Talbot, who also was investigating photography, or sort of the way to obtain photographies. And he actually invented something very, very important for photography. That is the negative. So it means that we have a negative, and then we can make as many copies as we want. In this case, in Talbot's invention, it was by contact. So we place the negative plate on top of the positive paper, and then we could make as many copies as we wanted. That's one of the most important features of photography, the reproducibility. So we can make as many copies as we want. But what does make photography an art? Do you think that photography is an art? Well, we can discuss this in class, but I'm going to introduce you this photographer, Nadar, who was very famous in his time to take pictures of famous people. His portraits were special. As you can see, here we have Gustave Doré, which was a painter and illustrator. And here, who's this guy? That's another question you got to answer. Well, he was also the first to take bird view pictures. So he rented a balloon and he flew in the sky of Paris taking pictures. Another important photographer was Muybridge. He was obsessed with the idea of motion. So he took many pictures of people and animals moving in a sequence. He actually is a pioneer for cinema. Well, his experiments were like this. He took 72 machine cameras, placed on a line, and he shot a picture every second or every 2 seconds. It depends on the sequences. So that's his work. That's another examples of his work. There is Marey, which was another photographer interested in motion, and actually Degas was a French impressionist, used to get inspiration of Marey's photographies to paint his horses. Then we can see also how photography influenced on the points of view. As you can see, this is a painting by Renoir, taken of the Boulevard des Capucines, that reminds us a lot of the daguerreotype we've seen before. There is also a very important photographer, that is Margaret Cameron, that is one of the first female photographers. She started taking pictures when she was not so young, at the age of 48, when she was given a camera. But her pictures were special. She used to take photographies of many important people of her time. For example, who's this guy? Have a look. It's a very, very famous scientist. Well, these are some photographs of her daughters. Yeah, and well, that's it for the moment, because we might study other photographers, but we're gonna see them later on. We're gonna discuss photography and art in class and see what do you think. Thank you for your attention. Bye. See you in class.